whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people. Whose car are we going to take?
It is Friday. Happy Friday, and thank you all for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. It's Friday, so we have a lot of fun things coming up. I was telling Kim right before we came on air, I do my Friday food segment. I have created a video, and I have also created a hot mess. So, you know, sometimes these recipes work out. Sometimes you look at something, you're like, done, easy peasy. And then you start making it, Kim. And last night I was like, oh, this is gonna be bad. And I really was disappointed, not so much in like my ability to turn it into something pretty, because you know what, pretty, whatever, as long as it tastes good. But it didn't even taste good, and I don't know where I went wrong. I really don't. And so I'm not even gonna eat it, because I feel like if I eat it, I'm going to get a tummy ache, and I don't need any. Between my cough and my sniffles, I don't need a tummy ache to go on.
What if it tastes better than it looks?
I tried it last night. I mean, I had to take one for the team, but I'm telling you.
Oh.
I don't think it's a good idea to continue eating. I don't want to eat it so much that I actually left it on the counter uncovered overnight. Like I was like, you know what?
That's unfortunate.
My husband's like, you should cover it. It's going to get hard. And I was like, nah, I don't think I'm going to eat it. So it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter at all. But I'll get into that after, of course, it's Friday, and our news segment, of course, is with the one and only John Rothman. So we'll get our political roundup done and started in just a moment. I also have Tim Sika coming up at the end of towards the end of the show, as we always do with the movies. I'm going to tell you, Kim, there is a movie I watched last night. I even told my children, don't watch it. It was scary, but not in the horror movie type of scary. And I know Tim didn't talk about it last week, and I don't believe that he's talked about it before. Have you heard of the movie Leave the World Behind?
No.
It's on Netflix. Okay, I don't know if you have Netflix. I watched it last night, and it is so frightening.
Really?
It's all about where we lose, like we as America lose access to technology, and then what happens after that. And kind of this slow crawl into civil war. It is, but it's like a big name. It's remember that movie Don't Look Up, where there was all these big name people in it? Julia Roberts is in it. Kevin Bacon's in it. Mahershala Ali is in it. Ethan Hawke is in it.
Is this the one where we align with Texas?
No.
Okay.
There's no aligning. It is the characters are so isolated. And it's just weird and it's frightening. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God. We were talking yesterday, if you missed the show, with our old colleague, Kristen Haynes, about how she lives, in a van and she knows how to fix ships and sailboats. And I'm like, I'm never going to do that. And maybe I should start learning. Kim, because if the S hits the fan, I don't know how to do anything, like I'm just, up a creek. So, but I'm just telling you, don't watch it. It was really good, but it is not something you want to watch right before you go to bed.
Why can you not stop thinking about it?
I can't stop thinking about it. I mean, I had dreams about it. It was so disturbing that I was like, that's not a way I want to go to sleep. But if anyone has seen it, I mean, if you've already seen it, then we could commiserate on it. But if you haven't, I'd skip it.
Not in a gory death kind of way, though, right?
No, in like, oh my God, I could totally see this happening. And my God, how frightening life would be, society would be. And so it's just, and I know there's scary things happening right now in our reality. I'm not saying that, but just how we do it to ourselves, I think, is the frightening thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's how dependent we are on certain things like technology and our phones. And when we're separated from information, how quickly trust within neighbors erodes, right? Like, it was good. It was a good movie. I was totally captivated. Wow. I want to go to bed. If you're going to watch it in the middle of the day. Make sure you know how to start your own fire. I don't know, but I just felt completely.
We all need survival skills.
Yes, basically. As we get closer in the second half of the hour, I'll also bring up a story that I read while watching this movie, and I'm like, yep, it's just going to go all to hell in a handbasket. Not to like bring you down on a Friday, but I'm telling you, people, some survival skills might be a good idea. I don't have any. I think I need to start working on them.
Thank goodness I married a Marine. Man.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Right? I thought the same thing. I was thinking my husband, he's military. He has MREs somewhere, I think. Yep. I'm sure he knows how to start a fire. But, Kim, God forbid we're separated from our husbands.
What do we know how to do? Talking to a microphone?
I know how to make crappy food. Right? Exactly. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, so yeah, you guys can just laugh at me. But anyways, we
need someone to draft a press release. Call on me.
Exactly. You need someone to kind of give you information. Oh, wait, there's no internet. I don't know how you're going to hear me. Although traditional radio, I'm telling you, that still existed in this terrible, terrible society. Okay, well, let's switch gears. Let's do some business first before we get to the John Rothman.
What?
Click the thumbs up button to start the show. Please do it.
It's a John Rothman Friday.
It's a John Rothman Friday. Absolutely.
Nice. Love it.
If you love it, click the thumbs up button right now, please. The Super Chat is also live. It's a way for you guys to donate to the show, and we appreciate you guys that do that each and every show. And, of course, the number one way to support the Nikki Medoro Show, myself, Kim McAllister, is to sign up for our monthly Patreon. Just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. Our Patreon link is right there. And so you just click it and you can sign up for any amount that you can afford. If you can afford a little bit more, as always, we do appreciate it. We do accept PayPal as well. Go to paypal.com, hit send, and then just put in my email. And that's the email to reach me as well, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And real quickly, I'm still accepting videos, end of the year messages. Next Thursday is my last live show because I'm going out of town for the holidays. And so if you can get them to me by Tuesday at the latest, I would really, really appreciate it so I can include it in the show. I'd love a video because we love to see people on the show. But if it's just an email, I'll read that as well. So again, just send it all to my email address, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Of course, we have the merch, and all of these links are in the show notes each and every day. But right now, we do need to talk about politics. And who better to talk it with than with the one and only John Rothman. Hello, my friend.
How are you? You mean I can't leave the world behind today?
No, do not leave the world behind. Don't watch that movie, John. I'm telling you. There's enough real life stuff happening in this world, John, that you don't need to watch these scary movies. I watched it for you. Don't watch it.
Thank you. Before this started, I did watch the concoction that came out of the oven. I watched avidly. Good luck, Nikki.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not eating it. I'm just. That's so funny that you saw it. Yeah, it's a complete mess. But you know what, John? I tried my best.
It may be a mess, but it's your mess.
Exactly. It's my mess. All right. Well. The political world is a mess, as we all know. There's so much to talk about. I mean, the things that have happened since the last time we talked is insane. I want to play you this clip because I was cracking up by it. Now, Kevin McCarthy is saying goodbye. He cast his final vote. He is not going to be in Congress, in the House anymore. Unceremonious. I mean, are you surprised that this is the end? And this is how Kevin McCarthy's kind of political career is ending?
No, listen, he's very bitter. He's very angry. And he brought it on himself. And that's what happens in politics. But he did say something. I listened very carefully to what he said yesterday. He said the most important thing for a politician to do is tell the truth.
Okay, hold on. I want to play this for you because I found it completely, I found this completely disingenuous, John. It was just ridiculous. Here he is. Here's Kevin McCarthy.
Do not be fearful if you believe your philosophy brings people more freedom. Do not be fearful that you could lose your job over it. Do it anyways. I would do it all again.
I mean, I just feel like he is... He's a liar, in my opinion, John. Okay, in my opinion, he goes to wherever the wind will blow him, where he thinks it'll be positive for him politically, not for the country. When he went to Mar-a-Lago after January 6th and kind of coddled former President Trump. I mean, any ounce of respect I had for the guy was gone immediately. But I guess I'm just kind of surprised that all the decades that he's been in politics, that it was just so, okay, bye. Are you surprised by that?
He had one goal, and that was to become Speaker of the House of Representatives. He achieved that goal for a limited amount of time.
Briefly, yes.
And now he's going to go out and make money. That's what former speakers do. By the way, there was another former Speaker of the House who spoke out for the first time in a while, and that's Paul Ryan, who yesterday blasted Donald Trump. And that's the kind of courage the Republican Party needs. What we have from Kevin McCarthy, who, by the way, has endorsed Donald Trump for president in 2024, and indicated this morning that if he were offered a job in a Trump administration, he might take it. And that is really something to reflect upon, don't you think?
It boggles my mind. It really, really does. I'm glad that you mentioned Paul Ryan, John, because on one hand, yes, I'm glad that Paul Ryan is speaking out against Trump, and he did earlier when he left and was no longer speaker. I do feel a little bit of cowardice, though, of these Republicans who leave the party and speak out when they could do so much more good by being in the party, voting not for certain things. I mean, does that make sense? It just seems to me like they're taking, in my opinion, the coward way out, no longer in politics, and now I'm going to speak out. Where were you when you could have made a difference and voted these things down, a la John McCain?
The Republican Party has no courage. And I say that as a former Republican. Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Chris Christie, people who have had the courage to speak out, go nowhere. And that is a real tragedy for the Republican Party. The only thing we can hope, at least I hope, is that Donald Trump loses so overwhelmingly in the election of 2024 or in the courts banning him from running, that the Republican Party will wake up. Once they get out of this cult of Donald Trump, I think the Republican Party will come back to its roots. Now, let me tell you, I don't agree with the issues on the Republican Party. This whole question of women's right to choose,
right.
The question of whether a president is above the law. You can go down the list of all of the subjects with which I heartily disagree today. This is not the Republican Party of Ronald Reagan. It's not the Republican Party of Dwight Eisenhower. Frankly, it's not even the Republican Party of Richard Nixon. And that is a tragedy for the American people. The fact that the polls now indicate such great trust by Republicans in Donald Trump is profoundly disturbing. But let me just point out to you, you can be a hero one day and a villain the next. And my hope is that the Republican Party will wake up from this cult and say, boy, did we make a mistake. And that's what it will require the Republican Party to do to gain the trust of the American people. As for Kevin McCarthy, well, I'm not sorry to see him go.
Neither am I. But what about the people who have infiltrated, specifically the House? I'm thinking of Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Lauren Boeberts, et cetera. We still have to get those people out. Those people that honestly are a la Kevin McCarthy, kind of seeking their own kind of attention, saying whatever. And then, of course, we have this Biden impeachment inquiry with Hunter Biden. And, first off, Hunter Biden wanting to testify publicly. How are Republicans really selling that that's a negative thing?
Well, they're making a case that you've got to do it behind closed doors.
Why?
But, well, let me explain to you. The Republican Party has nothing to offer the American people. And the idea of impeaching Joe Biden in the House of Representatives, they may have the votes, but they won't succeed in terms of a conviction. And in fact, there is no evidence implicating Joe Biden. There are accusations. There are piles of what the Republicans call evidence. But remember, every time they have been asked to produce that evidence, they have failed. The question is, how long do you string this along? And it is a tragedy for the American people. I've been involved in the question of impeachment since Richard Nixon. But the first president to be impeached was Andrew Johnson. And I probably have the most complete material on the Johnson impeachment back in 1868. That was a political impeachment. Most impeachments are political. And in the end, a president who understands that he's broken the law should do what Richard Nixon did. Richard Nixon ultimately resigned the presidency because he was guilty. Now, here's the question, and it's a real question. The role of the Supreme Court. Will the Supreme Court rule that the president is above the law, or will they follow the precedent established in the United States versus Richard Nixon? And that is a real question. That's why I believe, and I talked about it in my podcast this morning, the Supreme Court is going to be a central issue in the election of 2024, and it should be.
If you had to bet, how do you think they're going to rule?
It's a very good question. If they go by precedent, Donald Trump will lose. But I would remind you, Roe v. Wade was precedent and was replaced, of course, by a decision throwing out a woman's right to choose. There's another question that's on the Supreme Court docket, and that is a question of whether you can take a pill to do away with an unwanted pregnancy. By the way, those of you who deal with colleges and universities know it is not uncommon. In fact, it is quite common for the pill to be administered to young women in college who get pregnant, who don't want to have a pregnancy go to term. Are they going to be denied that right? And I think this is very interesting because the Supreme Court are not doctors. They are interpreting law, but they are now taking a role, which I think, I hope the Supreme Court will do the right thing. But remember a very important fact. When Donald Trump ran for president in 2016, he announced publicly that he would nominate people for the Supreme Court who would rescind Roe v. Wade. And he followed through with that pledge.
Yes, he did.
And all I can tell you is that that's why the Supreme Court is as much a question in the election of 2024 as is who we elect as president.
Yeah. Now, as far as 2024, and I know we've talked about the candidates before, but what do you think about Nikki Haley? I mean, she is a woman, although she does not see Roe v. Wade as the women's issue of our time, which boggles my mind. I don't agree with her politically. Do you think that all of these cases and all of the attention on what Trump's accused of doing is going to help Nikki Haley? How much do you think she could be the second nominee if Trump doesn't get it?
It won't help Nikki Haley. It will help the Democrats in the election of 2024. But let me point out there was an important announcement this morning that there will be another debate among Republicans before the Iowa caucuses. And at the moment, only two people qualify, Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, which means that the two people who would theoretically be in line were Donald Trump to be removed are going to debate head to head. Nikki, the last time that happened was May 17th, 1948, when Harold Stassen and Thomas E. Dewey debated head to head on resolve the Communist Party should be abolished in the United States. To have two leading candidates for president debate, of course, we did have sort of a debate between John F. Kennedy and Hubert Humphrey back in 1960, but let me tell you, this is going to be critical. And the simple fact is, and frankly, it disturbs me deeply, the Republican Party is now committed to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is going to win the Iowa caucuses, if you believe the polls. He's going to win the New Hampshire primary, and he's going to win the South Carolina primary. And the simple truth is that will knock everybody out of the box. Now, remember now, you've got to watch two things. One, the caucus in Iowa and the primaries in New Hampshire and South Carolina, but also what the Supreme Court does in terms of whether or not a president is above the law. These days are highly dramatic, and frankly, novels will be written. They don't have to be novels anymore. They're factual. So I don't think Nikki Haley, frankly, will be the Republican nominee for president. I think there are too many weaknesses in her stands. And by the way, she may be a woman, but as you point out, and rightly so, she opposes a woman's right to choose. And I think that is going to be a central issue in the campaign of 2024. Yeah. American women and men like me, will never vote for a candidate who does not protect, defend, and advocate for a woman's right to control her own body. Please note, I did not say abortion. Right. Abortion, that's another issue altogether. Whether you choose to have an abortion or not should be your right as a woman. But the question of a woman controlling her own body, let me tell you something, Nikki. If they tried to tell me what to do with my body, I'd tell them to take a flying leap.
Exactly.
And that's what the American people, I hope, are going to do in November.
That's what I hope too. And I hate the polls, John. I really do. I understand that. I mean, it boggles my mind that the Republicans could not rally behind somebody else for whatever reason, whether they're scared of Trump's base or whatever. But at some point, Trump will no longer be able to run, whether he gets this presidency, God forbid, or not. There has to be someone next in line. And this Republican Party is just, they're off the rails. They're completely off the rails. And I don't know how they get back.
What will happen, Nikki, is the Republican Party will do what it has done in previous years. It goes through an internal debate about what direction to go in. They did it in 1940. They did it again in 1964. They did it again in 1976. They have real contests. And then the Republican Party emerges going one way or the other. And that is what the political process should be. By the way, the Democrats are going to have the same problem. When Joe Biden is no longer the leader of the Democratic Party, whenever that day comes, there will be a battle among Democrats for leadership of that party. And that is why the dynamic of the political party is so critical. I discount, as you and I have talked in the past, third parties, because the last third party candidate for president of the United States to be elected was Abraham Lincoln in 1860. To run as a third party candidate is just, all it is a spoiler at this point.
Right. It's not how the game is being played. Who do you like, though, as leader? I love, and Kim and I both like Pete Buttigieg. I think he has the temperament to lead this country and unite this country. I think he has a way of speaking where he doesn't offend to make his point. Does that make sense? I like him. I know he's young. I know, he's pretty early, but I like him. I could see him being able to unite all the states, because I know people like Gavin Newsom, although, he's our governor, he's a very divisive person across the country.
So is Pete. And my wife is from Indiana. She was a big fan of Mayor Pete. But I have to tell you that if you read what the Speaker of the House, the current Speaker of the House, Mr. Johnson, is saying about the idea of a Buttigieg as a leader, he blasts him. He uses every pejorative term against a gay that one can imagine. So there are going to be a lot of divisions. And frankly, the last person to be elected president of the United States straight from the president's cabinet was Herbert Hoover. The idea of somebody from the cabinet being elected president, to me, is highly unlikely. Right. But the simple truth is the Democrats are going to have to go through a process of arguing among themselves about their future. And they have, I think, a clear advantage when it comes to certain issues, including the right of women to choose, including the Supreme Court. There are a lot of issues where the Democrats can stand out. In this election of 2024, it appears that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee unless something remarkable happens. And it appears that Joe Biden, unless he takes himself out of the running, will be the Democratic nominee for president. And so all I can say is in 2028, we'll have a fresh slate because neither Trump nor Biden will be eligible to run.
If we make it to 2028, John, if we make it.
That's why you shouldn't watch the movie that you watched.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, don't watch that movie. Okay, before I let you go, though, I do want to talk about what's been happening at some of the nation's most prestigious universities. I'm talking about UPenn, Harvard, MIT. UPenn's president resigned. Locally, last night was the last night of Hanukkah. And then we had that terrible thing that happened to the menorah in Oakland.
Lake Merritt, menorah, a 300-pound Hanukkah, was pushed into Lake Merritt. Look, let me be blunt, and Kim and I have talked about this on her program. I want to be anybody who will not condemn genocide against Jews or against anybody for that matter has no business being a university president.
Yeah. It wasn't a hard thing to say. I don't know why there was so much hemming and hawing about it.
Because they don't want to offend anybody, because it's political correctness.
They're offending people by not saying it. Like, they're literally doing what they're afraid of doing. It was the easiest yes, in my opinion, to say.
You're right.
But having to listen to Stefanik say it and give her points and agree with her killed me, John. But I could not believe that those presidents were having such a hard time saying it.
That's right. And all of them should have been removed from their offices. And I would say that, imagine if this were an African-American case. Yeah. What if it had been a Black Lives Matter case?
If it was women? What if it was just any other group of people?
Wouldn't stand up and condemn genocide against African-Americans. it's hypocrisy. But let me unfortunately say to you that the world expects the Jews to be the only real Christians in the world. I'm quoting now the great philosopher Erich Hoffer. And for the Jewish community, and I speak as a member of that community, as an active member of that community, the last week has been just appalling on so many levels. Separate what's going on in the Middle East right now, where you can have different points of view. But when it comes to the question of Jew hatred, there should be no ambiguity, no question. And so I was disappointed. And many of my friends who were involved with Harvard or with MIT or with Penn were equally disturbed. And this is not over. The two may keep their jobs at Harvard and MIT, but there are going to be ramifications. And not only Jews, but non-Jews feel the same way. Why is it so difficult to condemn genocide? Why?
I don't understand. And, there was this question of, if the president can't, condemn genocide, is the entire university anti-Semitic? And the question of money going to endowments to some of these places, they get a lot of money. We're talking about Harvard over here, UPenn.
Let me be clear. I am not in favor of economic boycotts of universities. I'm not. I worked on university campuses for 30 years, speaking on more than 150 college and university campuses in this country. And believe me, what we saw is not new. I've heard this kind of rhetoric expressed about Israel and about Jews for years and years and years. The thing that has to happen is university communities have to act themselves. They have to reform what goes on within their own ranks. And one thing that is very clear, whether you are a student or a faculty member or a member of the board of trustees, certain things cannot be permitted.
Right.
And a call for genocide against Jews or anybody should not be permitted. I do believe in freedom of speech. Let me quickly tell you that when the Nazis, as I call them, the Nazis marched in Skokie, Illinois, which was then primarily a community of Holocaust survivors, there were a lot of people who said, don't let them march. I said, no, let them march. Let them speak. I want to hear what they have to say. Because only if you expose that kind of rhetoric to the bright light and sunshine of freedom of speech can you really understand what it is you're condemning. I am a great believer in freedom of speech. I don't believe in banning books. I don't believe in banning demonstrations. Quick story. I used to take my older boy, Samuel, to political demonstrations on a regular basis. And we went to a pro-Palestinian rally where the chant from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, was expressed. And Samuel, wide-eyed and innocent, asked me, what does that mean? And I said, well, the river is the Jordan and the Mediterranean is the sea and everything in between is Israel. And he said, well, what they're calling for is the destruction of Israel. And I looked at him and I said, you're absolutely right. To this day, Samuel, who is now 31 years old, remembers that discussion. It is not that Palestinians don't have rights. They do, but not at the expense of Israel's right to exist. And the same thing applies the other way around. We have to be conscious of the fact that this is not a question of the Middle East. It's a question of the Middle West and indeed our own country and Europe. Did you hear now that in Denmark and in Germany, they have arrested a group of Hamas cells that are going to planning to commit terrorist acts in Europe.
Wow.
And this is something that is an infection. I described it the other day as being like shingles. Jew hatred is something that has existed for thousands of years, and it generally can be contained or controlled. But on occasion, there is a flare-up, just as it is with shingles. Unfortunately, in the case of Jew hatred, there is no vaccine. No. There is no way to eliminate that except to expose it, to have people understand the rhetoric of it, and to really be aware that this is a serious problem. Speaking very personally as a Jew, as we had on KGO, many African Americans call me and talk about their issues long before George Floyd. I can remember when we did the discussion about African American young men and women being pulled over in their cars because they were black. We have to expose that. And one of the things that I miss, frankly, about talk radio, if we were on talk radio now, we would be talking about these. We'd be expressing our views. Now, we're doing it here on your podcast, and that's why everybody should support Nikki Medoro's program. That's why everybody should support Mark Thompson's program. That's why everybody should support Kim McAllister's program, because this is the vehicle that we use now. And if I may be so bold,
and of course yours,
around the political world with John Rothman.
Exactly.
But it is something we all need to think about. You talked about that movie you saw. And one of the things that you learned from that movie, and I listened to your words very carefully,
thank you,
was
John.
the one thing that survived was radio.
Yes.
And one of the tragedies of right now is that there is no talk radio in Northern California, the fourth largest market in the country, and there is no talk radio. Thank God we have this vehicle, the internet. Thank God we have the ability to express ourselves online. But Nikki, you and I know very practically that being able to turn on a radio and listen at any hour of the day or night is very different than going to this kind of a podcast. So I have an appeal to make for 2024.
Okay.
I want talk radio back in Northern California. I want to find a vehicle for that instrument to be used again. And
I would love it. Do you have $1 million to buy a radio station, my friend?
You know, it's a very interesting question, Nikki. Even if you had $1 million to buy a radio station, remember what it costs to run a radio station.
Oh God!
Remember the engineers,
everything.
The Reeds, the Chris.
It is expensive. It is an expensive kind of. People don't think about it.
You got to make money.
Yeah,
you got to make money doing it. So it's not a charity.
No, people got to support it. Yeah, we do. I mean, it should be, in my opinion, it's a public service first, right? I mean, when there's a national emergency, which again, that movie, turn on your radios, they say. What
was the title of that movie again?
Leave the World Behind. It is frightening, John. I'm telling you, my friend, do not watch this movie.
Now, let me point something else out to all of you. The only reason I know about it is because I had the privilege of tuning in before we went on the air and heard the discussion between our own Nikki Medoro and our own Tim McAllister. And as a result, see all the things I learned. So all I can say is tune in, but more than that, support these podcasts.
Well,
Make sure you support them. It's very important.
Absolutely. And I just want to throw up Lady Beatrice, and she gave a $10 donation. So thank you. Should silence might as well be an admission of tolerance. And you would think these university presidents with their fancy doctorates would know better than to set that example. Absolutely.
Amen. Hey, is it true you're going on vacation?
I am going on vacation. Next Thursday is my last show. Kim McAllister's still figuring out what her schedule is going to be.
Excuse me, it's your last show until your return.
Until I return in the new year, yes, of 2024. I'm not going anywhere, my friend. But yeah, so I will be there, and I'm splitting my time up at KCBS, which I do enjoy as well. So at least we have that. But I do miss talk radio. I really do. I miss your programs. I miss the call-ins, but I love the community we formed. And everybody, go on your favorite podcast, whatever app you use, and make sure that you subscribe to Around the Political World with John Rothman.
It's free. There's no
free.
cost.
There's no problem. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to pay any dollars for it.
Can I ask you, when you're away, like next Friday?
Yes.
Am I on standby?
Yes, I would say so. We'll double check with Kim. She's running the ship when I'm gone. So, and then I have some recordings, and then I've got some things in the can that we will be airing the following week as well. So it won't be completely dark on this channel. That's what I'm saying. But I will let you know the plan for our live show.
Have a wonderful, happy, healthy New Year. And
you
just
too,
know, leaving this in the hands of the incomparable Kim McAllister is a great thing to do.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, so much. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Next year.
Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year. See you later.
Bye. All right. That's John Rothman again. And again, sign up for his podcast. It is, it's a short one. He does it really, really well, as we know. And I just adore him. I really
like 10 or 15 minutes. That's it. And he just kind of
really quick. It's
hits
really
the highlights of the politics that day. If maybe you're not somebody who can immerse yourself in news and you're like, I've kind of hit a thing and I've had enough of the sad stuff and the hard stuff.
But you got to get up to speed. You want to be smart, right? You
John
got to
Rothman, 15 minutes. You're all caught up and you're on your way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So again, sign up for his podcast, and thank you always for him coming on and giving us his expertise in the political world. What do we have there?
Okay, so listen, last night I met up with a viewer listener, Janet, who stopped by her company office party in Petaluma.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's funny because she was then going out to dinner with a cousin and at this Chinese restaurant called Lily Kai. And when I told my family, "Oh, I'm gonna meet Janet outside of Lily Kai just to
They
say
wanted to go
hello,"
have Lily Kai, didn't they?
they all wanted Lily Kai. So we went out to dinner at Lily Kai. So she got to meet the whole family.
Oh, that's awesome.
She was so nice to bring me a little gift.
Oh, let's see.
So I told her I'd wait to open it on the air.
Okay, good. So this is from Janet. I think, and I don't know if she's in the chat, but we see her often in the chat. So she's often here.
Oh, it's a coffee mug. It says Christmas. This is my Christmas movie mug.
Oh, there you go.
Janet knows me. I'm a sucker for a Christmas movie.
See?
I'm going to even tell you a Hallmark Christmas movie. I'm not discriminate. I love it. This is my Christmas movie mug. This will get a lot of use from me. I love it too.
You need to like snuggle up on the couch, watch one of your Hallmark movies, and take a picture with your mug and send it to her. Absolutely. All right, what else is that?
It says, all Mama wants is a silent night.
There you go.
That's awesome. I love it. Wow.
You should definitely drink out of that in front of your children.
Look at her. And then she has given me a couple of boxes of C's candy.
Oh, look at
That's
that.
so nice. She said
How
for the
generous of her.
Oh, that's so nice of Janet.
Oh, we love our viewers and listeners. That is so sweet.
And we had a good time too visiting. She was showing me pictures of her Mustang. Oh, and I got a nice card. That is the coolest. I love.
So wait a minute. So was her company party was at that Chinese restaurant?
No.
Oh, you just met there. Oh, you just met there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It says, "Hope you have an amazing holiday season and New Year from Janet R. and family with a bundle of cash she's given me."
Wow.
What? Janet?
Thank you, Janet R.
Oh my God. This is crazy.
That is so nice. That is so nice.
I don't even know what to say.
Thank you.
If I would have given that cash back to her, if I had known that was in there.
No,
That's so
you
nice.
never look a gift horse in the mouth. You say
What a
two
sweet
words.
thing.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. I love our
Really
community
nice.
that we formed here. And I think that's so awesome that you were
Yeah.
able to meet her face to face.
Getting to meet people and getting to know people in the
Yes.
chat has been probably the unexpected highlight, really, to see who you guys are. And
Exactly.
you get the flavor of people by their comments. And we get a lot of emails and messages too. And people are so kind. And whatever you think about, how could Trump be the candidate? Aren't people smart enough? Are people really this weird in the world? And then you come here and you see all the loveliness. I'm just overwhelmed. So thank you to Janet R. Thank you to everyone.
Absolutely. And thank you to Ms. Organic also just came in with a $5 super sticker. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, Randy says, never give a gift back. Never, ever, ever, ever give a gift back. Very nice gift. Everybody says it. So thank you, Janet R. And that's so awesome that you were able to meet. I do have a quick video since we're talking about listeners. Ricky, often in the chat.
Yeah.
Sent me this video. I'm also gonna again remind you guys, send me messages. We'll play them next Thursday. Whether it's a holiday message, something you want to say to all the listeners and viewers of the show, just to send them to me at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. It could be an email, but we'd love to see your face. And so Ricky sent this to me, and he got one of my Medorable pins. I love this jacket that he's wearing. And now remember, my Medorable pin is a gigantic star. So here he is.
Anyway, why I like pins, most of the time, I get to show them all off. I had to modify this one a little bit. See you in the funnies.
Isn't that awesome?
That's really cute.
I love it. Ricky, I love seeing your face. You're too cool for school. I mean, that jacket's pretty awesome. Yeah.
That jacket is tough. Like if I
know,
saw
right?
him,
I like it
riding
a lot.
down the road, I'd be like, that guy.
Exactly. All right, let's do some headlines. And then I'm going to show you the other video. of the S show thing I made. Now, I will say this. Have I made, I don't know how many things I've made that haven't turned out for this show. I think there's been some. This is, I think, at the top of the list of things that just did
a Nikki fail,
not work out. But you know what? I like the fact that it didn't because that's the reality of things. I'm telling you, the video I watched of this, Kim, I was like, done. I wanted to make something easy. I wanted to make something yummy. I was excited to eat it on the show because I was like, oh, that's going to be so great with my cup of coffee. And it's going to be yummy, yum, yum, yum. And if I can make, and if it's this easy, I'll make it, at my brother's house and it'll be great. No. I do have tweaks in my head of how I could possibly do it better. It was all bad. But you know what? I tried, people. I really, really tried. Okay. So we'll do that. Click the thumbs up button, you guys, before we do some headlines. And then we'll talk about that and a whole lot more coming up.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
The United States wants to see results on Israel's intent to avoid civilian deaths in the Gaza Strip. That is what White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said while visiting Israel today. This comes after 2 U.S. officials said the Biden administration had informed the Israeli government that it wants to end the large-scale ground campaign in that region. Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman says, he's not progressive, as a matter of fact. This comes as the freshman senator has drawn criticism from allies on the left for his staunch support of Israel and calls for Democrats to push for tougher immigration laws. Fetterman told NBC News Democrats must effectively address the border crisis and stand by Israel in its war with Hamas. So if you're going to criticize him for not being progressive enough, he'll say, I'm not. It's fine. Federal automobile regulators say they have taken the first step now in making technology that prevents the drunk and impaired driving in new cars. So it's still in the preliminary stages, but according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, regulators will be allowed to collect information about the current state of tech used to detect and prevent impaired driving, and then they'll figure out if that could be implemented nationwide. So we might not be too far off from if you buy a new car, automatically when you get in, you've got to blow your breath into a little
I don't mind
gadget.
that. I don't mind that at all. I mean, in all honesty, I think people are like, oh my God, but what if I need, see, this is the only reason I would be like, okay, maybe not. What if you're in a situation where you have to go, right? Like I'm thinking of a woman, she's at a bar, she feels like she needs to get away from somebody, she's had a few drinks and she can't now start her car and get away. Okay, that's one situation. But I would say that 95% are not that situation. And so I have no problem with it.
I mean, if you look at likely how many people are killed by drunk drivers,
exactly,
injured by drunk drivers, then I think the real problem is people, on substances behind the wheel.
Well, yeah.
But
and with Uber and everything, like, why are we driving drunk anymore? Like, I just don't get it.
Also, though, what substances will be detected? Can you detect someone having marijuana on their breath? Can you detect somebody having?
That's a good question.
Like, how do you know?
Like, what if they're on fentanyl? I mean,
Right.
I don't want anyone with fentanyl behind the wheel of a car. That's a very good point, Kim. I don't know. I think it's just booze at this point, right?
Is it just booze or what? I mean, that's great, and we'll take what we can get, but wouldn't it be nice if there was some type of way to test for more things than just one?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that would actually be the best move. If you're going to implement that new technology, let's really get that done.
Yeah.
This case, interesting. Sorry if that picture's a bit fuzzy, but the son of a U.S. senator is now facing homicide charges in the death of a North Dakota deputy. Ian Kramer is the son of North Dakota Republican Kevin Kramer. He's accused of the son of killing Mercer County Deputy Paul Martin. Martin died when Kramer crashed into his police vehicle during a high-speed chase earlier this month. A Wisconsin father and daughter are getting the credit for discovering what's thought to be a 150-year-old shipwreck in Lake Michigan. Tim Wolak and his 6-year-old daughter Henley were out fishing near Green Bay back in August when the sonar detector picked up an unusual ping. The Wisconsin Historical Society says it is a wooden, three-masted sailing ship, and while it hasn't been confirmed, it seems like it's a ship that was lost in 1871.
Wow,
They
that's
thought
cool.
they thought when the radar went off that it was an octopus, but
Oh,
come to find out, no, it's this ship, this
wow,
old ship
that's kind
that
of
was,
cool.
yeah. Threads will soon allow posts to appear on other social media networks. That, according to CEO Mark Zuckerberg. So your thread post could show up on Facebook,
I
X?
don't know
I
how
don't,
that
I
works.
don't know. Meta will begin testing this system, which allows data to flow freely among a loose collection of social networks, often referred to as the Fediverse. There currently are about 11 million users on the Fediverse.
Yeah, no, Mark Zuckerberg, I'll share with you, he was behind my scary story that has to tie into that movie that I was watching. Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment.
We've allowed these things that we don't really understand.
Exactly.
And here it comes to bite us straight in the derriere. Waymo. Yeah,
Waymo!
Waymo is launching curbside airport pickup. Select Waymo One riders can hail a robo-taxi, get picked up or dropped off. The new service is being launched at the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. So nobody to carry your bags for you. Got to put them in there yourself, and then just tell the robo-taxi where you're headed.
I mean, I normally do I usually, I mean, unless they're extremely heavy and I'm not with my husband, I usually
Yeah.
put my bags in the car myself anyway. Yeah, I mean, Waymo is Google, right? So, apparently they did a lot more testing than Cruise did. So they're the company apparently that did their due diligence and Cruise did not.
Well, we hope so. Or is it just that they haven't been involved in this type of accident yet?
Well, apparently, I mean, from one of the conversations I was having with a reporter that was researching all of this, Waymo, I mean, they were crossing and double crossing their T's and dotting their I's. Like, you check and double check and all of those kind of safety checks because they did not want the headlines that Cruise has been getting. And that's why it's actually been more of a slow rollout with Waymo than Cruise. So,
One would think, though, that these vehicles haven't been programmed for every single scenario,
no, of
because
course not.
you and I could be driving down the road and something that's never happened before, some
Exactly.
random thing could happen to us. So if we, if there are things out there that we haven't seen before, or that haven't happened before, or that are very rare, where something will ping off your windshield and all of a sudden, you're in this accident that just is, by a bunch of weird things happen at once to touch off this random crash.
Right.
There's so many things in the world that could happen. How could they account for everything?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I like that you compared it to us driving. I mean, we do that. We give 16, 17-year-olds driver's license, Kim, and there is no way in heck that
That's
driver's
true.
lesson,
But
covered every situation.
that's true. And experience speaks for a lot as when you're talking
Yes.
about a driver. But the human reaction time, the human brain, what do
Yeah, understanding
if
what's
there's a
going
way to
on.
avoid it in
Right.
real time,
Don't
is
continue
gonna be
driving when there's a person under your vehicle type of thing. Yeah.
is going to be different than some vehicle that we've programmed that might not be able to act fast because they don't know what just happened.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I have concerns.
I do too.
Lastly, Netflix is revealing the most watched shows during the first 6
Yeah.
months of the year. Season 1 of The Night Agent, I liked that show a lot,
I never
took the
saw it.
number 1 spot. It's good, it's entertaining. I mean, it's kind of one of those, FBI protect you kind of thrillers.
Shows.
It's
Okay.
good. It's worth it. More than 812 million hours viewed with The Night Agent. Other shows that ranked in the top 10: Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story, and You, Season 4, Wednesday, and the action comedy Fubar.
Oh, I
So
haven't seen Fubar. I've seen Wednesday.
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is in Fubar.
Oh, okay.
What bothers me about this story is that Netflix now can tell you how many exact hours have been spent watching how many exact things, which means they should have been paying royalties and
Yep.
to the actors all along. So now you're just telling me that you can actually track and figure out who's watching what?
Oh, they always could have. They always could have. They
guess.
just didn't want to.
They
You know
didn't
what I mean?
want
They didn't
to.
have to.
Mhm.
But now with
And
the writers and actors strike, I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons why they're going to do that.
and now they can put out this information, right? I
Yep.
mean, before was that secretly held close to the vest because they didn't want the talent to know that, oh yeah, we really can track this kind of stuff.
Yeah, probably.
No, I don't know. Well, I can tell you that this report is crowdfunded.
It
It's
is.
sponsored by you. So please find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Patreon link lives there. The PayPal link lives there. The Medoro shop lives there.
Everything lives there. I almost live there.
List of best things and favorite things for the holidays, that lives there. What else is on there? The podcast
All
link.
kinds of stuff on there. Yeah.
Cavalcade of links at thenikkimedoroshow.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
And I want to say thank you to some people that have donated to our super chat. Actually, I missed two. Lady Beatrice came in with two $10 donations. One about the silence may as well be an admission comment.
Right.
And then she came in with another one I missed. I'm sorry, the lady. I feel there needs to be media legislation to protect talk radio. Talk radio is being threatened, and a threat to that is a threat to free speech. I completely agree. And then Ms. Organic came in with a $5 super sticker. Thank you. And I just got a notice on my phone. Pippin, thank you so much for the donation to our PayPal. And I missed Pamela's earlier. I'm sorry, I don't go on PayPal. I didn't go on PayPal apparently in the last few days. Also came in with an earlier donation earlier this month. Nice. So thank you guys so very much. And then somebody else was asking, they had said in the comments during your news that they saw one of those Tesla trucks, which is ugly.
Oh,
and you can email me pictures, holiday messages, end of the year messages to my email, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. That's where you can contact me. Now I get a ton of emails there for story ideas and all kinds of stuff. That's the ugly ass truck. There's a picture of it. But still, if I haven't responded, send it to me. And Dan, I've gotten your messages. I've gotten so many messages from people. I love you guys. Send the videos. I want to see your faces if possible. If not, I will read your email messages next Thursday. Also, next Thursday, I already have planned. Emily Hovind is going to be joining the show. So we're going to have a fun time at the for my last live show of the year. Okay. Are we ready? Let's do this.
What are we doing?
Okay, so we're doing my Friday food segment. Now, I'm just going to preface this by saying I'm always looking for fun things, and I'm still committed to next year finding recipes that are really easy to do. See, this is my thing. I don't want to have to go get an ingredient that I'm not going to. One, I want my family to eat it. I don't want to make something and then I'm going to have to eat the whole entire thing by myself because that's a waste of food. I just won't.
Unless it's something really, really good that you
really
want to hide and
make a lot
preserve
of it
just for your own self.
Do you like eggplant?
I don't dislike eggplant, but I don't seek it out.
Okay, that was the reason I'm only bringing it up is I found this recipe for this roasted eggplant thing, but I knew damn well
no one's gonna eat it.
No one was gonna eat it but me. So those are the type of things. So I found this recipe for what was supposed to be a snowflake cinnamon roll. Okay.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, and so it had layers of puff pastry, tons of brown sugar and cinnamon. I don't know where I went wrong. I did everything to the T. I followed the recipe to the T. Okay. Now, I will say this. The woman in the video that I saw made her own dough, but her recipe was I know people aren't going to want to make their own dough because it's a pain in the ass. So you could use puff pastry. And so all of her recipe was using puff pastry.
Okay.
That was the first mistake that I made, was not making my own dough, which it's not that hard, but I don't want to make it. I want to make it easy for you, for me, for everybody. The second was, it was supposed to be in a circle. Now, puff pastry comes in a square. Mm-hmm. So that also led to some mistakes. Okay. So I'll play you the video. I did a little bit of a voiceover on it. It's not, hold on. I forgot. I have to bring it up. Hold on. It's not that I think the main mistake, honestly, was that I didn't cook it long enough, and you'll see that. But I cooked it for the exact time, and it was puffing up, and I did have some test pieces from cutting it that I had saved, and those were completely puffed up. So those were kind of my test sheets. Okay, those are my test sheets. So here we go. I have it up. Let's see if I wanted to have it fill the screen. So hopefully that'll work. Here we go. This recipe not only calls for 1 box of puff pastry, but 2 boxes of puff pastry. It has the brown sugar. It has the cinnamon. It has the butter. Spoiler alert, this recipe does not work out. So I do layer upon layer of this deliciousness, and it started out pretty well. The problem was when I tried to turn this into a circle. I took out my pizza cutter, got out my handy jigger and made the center and tried to cut semi-even pieces. And then the goal was to take each of those 2 pieces and then flip them outward to kind of make this beautiful, semi-beautiful looking snowflake. Looked okay going in. Oh, that's made the frosting, which actually turned out pretty well. But when I pulled this thing out of the oven, it was a hot mess. I just think that I cooked it long enough. But you know what they say? You win some, you lose some. I tried it. It was okay. No, it was too raw. It was too raw. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. The dough in the center didn't cook. And that's why I didn't want to eat it, because it was like raw dough with all that stuff. And so, yeah.
The picture looked great. Yours just didn't. What was that? The show Nailed It, failed it.
Yes, exactly. It was a nailed it. It was a nailed it. But
it does not look like as pictured.
I will say this: the only thing I did not have was that second box of puff pastry. Everything else I had in my cabinet, so I don't feel that bad. I mean, I wasted a lot of brown sugar.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the puff pastry. But other than that, it was like, a stick of butter.
Couldn't you just put it back in the oven and let it cook some more?
Well, I didn't realize that it was totally undercooked until I'd already frosted it.
Oh.
And then I did actually stick it back in the oven. And
no. Wait a minute. Something's not right. What a bummer.
I tried. But,
I salute you for trying, because, I wouldn't even have tried probably. So I'm going to go out and say, you are awesome. You gave it a shot, and I think you should try it again.
I think I will. I think I just need to cook it. You know what? Pardon me. So it called for butter. So before you lay down all the brown sugar and the cinnamon, you were supposed to butter each layer, which sounded good to me, but maybe, and I used the exact amount. It was softened butter. I used the exact amount, but maybe less butter, and it would help it puff up. I don't know. I don't know if there's any bakers in it, but and then of course I love my children. Dylan comes out. Why don't you just make regular cinnamon rolls? And I'm like, that's not the point. Like, the point is to make something different. He's like, you could buy those at the store and just like pop them out.
Listen, if that had worked out, that would have been
pretty
dramatic and beautiful for Christmas morning. Bring that out with the snowflake and the.
Hold on. I'm gonna find you.
I mean, that was really pretty. I can see why you were drawn to that and wanted to do that.
I'm gonna show you if I can find it really quickly. I'm gonna show you what it was supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. And she sells it quite well. Okay, so this is, hold on, stop, woman. Here we go. Okay, so this is, just watch the video. This is what it was supposed to turn into, but again, she made her own dough, and that makes all of the difference. So here we go.
Snowflake makes such a beautiful and delicious holiday breakfast. I used my favorite cinnamon roll recipe for this, but if you don't want to make cinnamon rolls from scratch, that's totally fine. You can easily take a shortcut with puff pastry, and I put some instructions on how to do that right in the caption.
Yeah, that was what it was supposed to be. Mine did not turn out that way.
No.
I tried it. Those 30-second videos, it makes it sound like we could just be chefs. And that's what I wanted to do, Doug. I was going to make it last night. I was going to have it right here. It is hard as a rock in my kitchen right now. Like, it is not edible. I'm not eating it. Cinnamon butter, puff pastry. I'll say this though, although puff pastry is good in some instances, like that everything bagel thing that I made was really good. I think I like crescent rolls better, as far as the kind of the peel apart type of thing. I think I like a crescent more. That's just my personal. The puff pastry can get a little tough after a while. So anyways, I tried it.
Did I tell you about sending recipes that I found on Facebook to my husband?
No, you have
I
not
tell you
told
about.
me that.
Sometimes I'll be scrolling through and I'll see something that looks really good and I'll be like, well, send to him. Maybe he could whip
Heck
that right
yeah.
up.
Heck yeah. You have a
But I
chef in your
never
house.
really expect it to happen until
Ooh, isn't so
it
nice.
did.
Yeah.
So I sent him a thing. Just my thought was, this looks good. Check this out, right? And for dinner, then all of a sudden it's served.
Ooh.
I know it was, and it was this kind of a take on chicken pot pie that you make in these little in the
Oh,
muffin tins.
yes, that's right. You did mention
Okay,
that.
so here's what it looked like. I don't know if I can. I don't know. The picture doesn't do it justice. It's just this little. Oh, come on, there it is. It's this
Okay.
little
With a
like
little top
chicken
on it.
pot pie,
Yeah.
and he made instead of making it with puff pastry, he
This is
made
the
the
one that
dough.
David made?
Well, now it looks what's a way too close up. Yeah, that's the one he made. And it's very similar to
Wow.
what it looks like. And there were 12 of them in the little muffin tin, and we all had 2 or 3 of them because they're small.
It looks
It
like, you
looks
know what it looks like to me? Just really funny. I don't know if you could see the 2 eyes at the top and like a tongue sticking out, like in
oh,
a
yeah, I
smile right
can.
there.
That's funny. It had peas and carrots. What you're looking at are peas as the eyes and carrots as the tongue, although I
Okay.
think that was unintentional. And it had some chicken in there. And
Yum.
yeah, it was really good. So well
That's really
done.
awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so I like to cook. I'm making cookies with my mom and the kids tomorrow. Oh,
Yeah.
so we're gonna bake some cookies. Murphy has a good tip. I wouldn't use puff pastry. Puff pastry is not cinnamon roll dough. Exactly.
Oh.
It wasn't the same. If not making my own dough, I would use the refrigerated pizza dough in a bag that you can get at Trader Joe's and Safeway. I didn't know that you can get that. Pizza dough, huh? I was just thinking crescent rolls, like, because it can be flakier. And
Mhm.
then what I was thinking was just taking each individual. This is what I was like, dumbass. You should just do this. Just take the triangle pizza dough and then just put a sliver of the brown sugar and the cinnamon and just roll it up like a regular crescent roll. And there you go. Done. I made it all friggin' I can even like shape it into something that looks like a snowflake. You live, you learn. That's my Friday food segment for you people. I absolutely love it. So, ooh, yeah. Did he have some gravy for those chicken pot pies?
Uh, yes, there was some type of gravy, but I did not partake in gravy.
Mm,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you? How do you not partake in gravy? That is a sentence that never would come out of my mouth.
No, I don't like gravy.
Why? It's like
It's
it's
really
like nature's
complicated to
juice.
explain, but it has nature's juice. It has to do with watching gravy made as a little girl with really the gross parts of the turkey, like the neck and the heart and the whatever,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
just don't wanna eat that part, and it turned me off, and so
You're so
I just
weird.
don't like the gravy. That my
Uh,
husband calls me a reluctant carnivore. He's like,
yeah.
you will eat meat, but not if it's a certain thing or a
Well, they
certain
make
way."
like you can get the packets of powdered gravy. Do you ever
Yeah.
even do that? Like
No,
for mashed potatoes or
just a
anything?
I'm just a non-gravy person.
You are missing a delicious part of life. How do you not like
What is wrong with
gravy?
me?
Even
What is wrong
fake
with
gravy
me?
is better than no gravy. Like
I must be some kinda communist.
that is really odd.
Yeah,
No, you need to
yeah,
get over that. Just like
yeah,
just stop paying
no.
so close attention how things are made. That's why you don't watch how sausage is made. You just eat it. You just shove it in your mouth and you eat it. It's delicious. Lori doesn't like gravy either.
Thank you, Lori. Bless
Mama
your
Three
soul.
Boys
Thank
doesn't like it.
you.
Oh my God. What's
Thank you,
wrong with
guys.
you people?
Thank you. Bring it
No,
on. You know what
no.
else I don't like? Here's another weird Kimism. My grandmother, I loved her, love her still, even though she's gone. She used to make meatloaf, and
Okay.
she would have her diamond rings on her fingers, and she would squish the meat in her
Oh, she
hand,
wouldn't take her rings
and
off
the
first.
meat would squish through the thing. And then
Oh,
she'd try to wash her hands, but I always thought I could see some kind of beef old remnant in there. And
yeah.
because of the disgust I felt as a child watching the meat squish through the rings, I don't
Uh,
like meatloaf either. Mm-mm.
I did not grow up in a household that made meatloaf. So
Oh.
I don't eat meatloaf. Which is interesting. Like, I think I can honestly say I think I've had a bite of somebody's meatloaf, but I've
Mhm.
never ordered nor had nor made meatloaf. We're an Italian family. If we want something like that, we'll just make meatballs, even though it's not the same. I'm not saying it's the same.
David loves to make meatloaf, and he
No.
is so upset that I won't eat it. But I just have these bad memories of it. So no.
I can see a tiny, young Kim McAllister just sitting there with that judgy look on her face. Like, that is leaving a memory for me for the
really
rest of my
gross.
life. Thanks, meat ring lady. That's gross.
Oh, I know.
That's really gross. I would agree with you though. If
Oh.
I ever if I start making meatballs and I see my jewelry on, I'm like, shoot, and I take it off because that is gross. I will admit that's kind of nasty. That's kind of nasty. But yeah, gravy. It's the juice of life. You should get over it. Make fake gravy. I mean, you can make gravy without the turkey neck and all that kind of stuff, and it's really good. You can make a roux, chicken broth, or beef stock, or whatever. You can make it that way.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
That's because okay, whatever. I mean, do you? I'm not yucking your yum. You're yucking my yum, but whatever. I'm not yucking your yum. I'm just saying, mashed potatoes and gravy, turkey and gravy. I mean, gravy.
Or mashed potatoes with a nice little bit of butter and a little pepper on top. It's perfect.
I mean, that's okay, but I love me some gravy. All right. Well, speaking of food, I guess, Oprah Winfrey has made quite the admission. I don't know if you guys saw her. I mean, Oprah, my entire life has fluctuated with her weight. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the most recent picture. Her in this purple dress. When I saw her, I was like,
she looks pretty good.
Standing a certain way to make her look like that? But no, she's lost 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And now she's admitted that she is taking one of those weight loss medications. She has not said which one. But you know what I find interesting, Kim? She's an investor in the face of Weight Watchers, which goes by WW now. And that's now going to be selling whatever weight loss medication she is on. So
really?
Yeah. So, I mean, she's the face of Weight Watchers. They're going to be incorporating it into their program.
Oh.
Here's the thing.
I thought Weight Watchers was about losing weight in a healthy way, not about sucking up medication. No?
Well, I mean, some people would say, and there's still the argument, right? One, obviously the medication is made for people with diabetes and that need it.
Yeah.
But it is now being marketed and sold to people that don't have diabetes but want to lose weight. Okay. Some people have a problem with that because obviously if there's a big demand for something, it might make it hard for people that need it to get it, which I agree with. But how long have we heard this, Kim? I wish there was a pill or a shot that could just make me my ideal weight. And now all of a sudden we have it. And there seems to be this shame involved in it. And Oprah, I will give it to Oprah. She's like, you know what? I am done with the yo-yo dieting that she's been doing for years. And she's like, I'm going to be criticized no matter what. If I gain weight, I'm criticized. If I lose weight, I'm criticized. I want to be happy with myself. I'm taking this medication. I'm proudly announcing that I'm doing it, and kind of screw you guys if you don't like it.
Well, here's the problem with it, though. What happens when you stop taking the medication? Do you balloon back up?
I don't see it.
What happens if there's a really side effect that is yet to be known? You know, because that's happened in the past with weight loss drugs. Then all of a sudden, there's a test that reveals, oh, wait a minute, this damages your heart or whatever it is.
Right. Like long-term effects. We don't particularly know.
I mean, I think in the scheme of things, isn't it always best to revert back to diet and exercise, calorie intake, and these things that you can control without medication?
But she can't. Okay, look, Oprah, arguably one of the richest people around. There was a Kathleen Madigan, if you know her, she's a comedian. She had a joke. She's like, Oprah's so rich, she could have somebody just smack the food right out of her freaking hand, and that's their job. Obviously.
She has a chef.
But yeah, obviously, you have a chef, you have a trainer, and she still can't maintain her weight. So there's something else going on. It's not like she hasn't tried. And that's why I look at her and I'm like, okay. Use the medication because yo-yo dieting is also very unhealthy for your body. It really, really is. And so I'll say this. I think that if you're going to, this is just my opinion, I'm not a doctor. If you're going to start taking Ozempic or Wegovy or whatever drug she's on, that you're on it for life. If you want to maintain your weight, just like people are on insulin, right? You don't stop. Just like my daughter is on her medication for her Crohn's. She's going to take it for the rest of her life.
But you can't be on that stuff for life because, as Sharon Osbourne found out, at some point you get too thin.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen to Oprah.
At some point you get to the point where, all right, you've lost enough weight. don't know if you can. I mean, then are you yoing back and forth?
Or maybe you don't take it as often. Maybe like instead of taking, I don't know
You
how often you take a shot, but let's say you take it once a
the
month.
dosage, yeah.
Maybe every other month, or you change the dosage. But
Right.
I'm imagining, this is the way I understand it. Yeah, this is going to be part of your life. If you start, reverting back or gaining weight, take a shot, and it stops you from being hungry and you maintain your weight.
Which is interesting that you say it's a shot, because I saw the story this morning. I have it in front of me. It says the weight loss drug Ozempic has become popular across the country, which has led to now overdoses. If you're getting a shot, though, how do you overdose it? But
Maybe
Dr.
doing more than
Sean
one.
Barney heads the South Texas Poison Center, says they see the same thing with over-the-counter remedies. This year, he says there's been nearly 3,000 Ozempic overdoses nationwide.
So I
Weird.
know somebody that takes Ozempic, and she says that she takes it, I think I'm correct, once a week. So the only way I would say that you can overdose is if you're taking it more than once a week.
Right.
And what happens to you? Does it say what happens to you when you do overdose?
Mm-mm.
I mean, I could, and again, because I'm not taking it and I don't know, I'm not an expert on this whole sort of thing. It's supposed to like stop you from being hungry. Right? Like, so it quelches that, so you don't eat as much. And then when you do eat, you don't necessarily feel that great. You don't want to keep eating, kind of
Squishes
thing.
your appetite. But then what if your appetite is so low that then you just don't
want to eat anymore?
And how do you make sure that you're getting enough of the right things to survive?
You got to start drinking that gravy. That's what you got to do, Kim McAllister.
You suck down gravy for dinner. No, thank you.
That sounds disgusting, actually. But I want to go back to this whole idea, though, of and all of the concerns we've just outlined are completely valid. Okay.
Yeah.
And I do think that more research needs to be done. And I would hope if something's on the market, especially for people that have diabetes or what have you, that they are well aware of the side effects and how long they need to take it. But there's a bunch of people. There's that doctor. I don't know if you ever watched the show Botched, where they fix people that had bad plastic surgery. I love that show. One of the doctors is Terry Dubrow. And he was really praising Oprah for admitting that she's using the meds as part of the weight loss, her weight loss journey, saying we need to stop shaming people for taking whatever steps they want to take to lose weight. Right now, I think it's a double-edged sword type of thing. We're so obsessed with this thin culture when most people don't fit into that size. You know, the average size of a woman is way bigger than what we see in magazines, right? Teenagers selling to women in their 30s and 40s. Like, go ahead. You know, my body's changing. Everyone's body's changing as you get older. And that's a natural thing that happens. If you're overweight and you want to do something about it, I guess there's options, but do we need to have like the richest woman in the world in the face of Weight Watchers?
No. Well,
in the face of it.
If you're somebody that maybe has health complications because of your weight, and that could be diabetes, but it could also be like maybe you're having trouble walking, your knees have given out, or your joints, or you're having joint pain or back pain or whatever, and the doctors are saying it's likely weight related, right? Then maybe if you get to the point where you're having health issues because of it, maybe that's a great idea to take this medication to get that weight off so you're not facing health struggles.
Yeah.
But I found out, I did a search while you were talking and found out what the overdose symptoms are. And
okay, lay it on me.
Stomach issues are the main symptoms of Ozempic overdose. The overdose could include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and more. Also, they have found sometimes people have pain associated with the misuse or abuse of the medication, including pain at the injection site as well. So those are some of the problems. But like, I just don't think, if you can lose weight the normal way, the regular way, and change your lifestyle, that's going to be a lot better for you in the long run. Although in some cases, maybe, like I said, if you're facing huge health struggles, then getting that weight off quickly is going to be the better move. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's an individual kind of thing, right? But I do think that Oprah is going to make money hand over fist over being not only the face of Weight Watchers or WW, but now adding this weight loss. More people are going to want to do it now. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. I really don't. I think
she looks really good in that purple dress.
I mean, like, look at this picture. I mean, she looks, but I even feel bad saying that. I really do. I mean, that's her in 2019. She didn't look terrible in the white.
No.
She looks amazing on the
I
right.
think she looked good before
on the left,
too.
I mean.
But she doesn't have a waist like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the outfit also doesn't really show that. But but she does look happy. And again, just whole my body, my choice, right? If you want to, then do it. Now, on this note, I don't know how I feel about this story. Okay. I really don't. Okay. And I'm only speaking as somebody that's like, wait a minute. I pay for something and I don't get what I want because of this new policy. So Southwest Airlines is being praised for a policy, and it's called the Customer of Size Policy. And it allows overweight passengers to request a complimentary seat and forces flight staff to accommodate larger flyers. But this is the kicker. Even if it means kicking others with tickets off of the flight.
Nope.
I'm like, wait a minute. No.
If you are a larger person, then you need to pay for the space for yourself.
And not only that, you're getting it free, and I lose my seat that I actually paid for.
Right. No.
So, obviously people, there are people within the kind of plus size community praising this because it's hard. And I'll say this, airlines can suck it. They're making these seats way too small, knowing the average size of people. It's like, it's total BS. It's total BS. Like, wait a minute. I'm a tiny person. And if I'm in my 5'1" short stature feeling cramped, and I'm not saying I'm abnormal, but a normal size person, a larger size person is not going to be comfortable, and they're just trying to make more money. So,
but I would even argue if you're your size, if you're a smaller person and you don't need the extra room for your body, maybe you just want to buy 2 seats because you don't want to sit next to someone else. You're worried about COVID. You're worried about someone hacking and coughing at you or whatever. And so you prefer to have that buffer zone between you and someone else so that you're less likely to get sick or whatever it is. I think you should be able to buy that extra seat as well.
Well, according to Southwest's policy.
And leave it empty.
Yeah. Well, according to Southwest's policy, they say customers whose bodies, quote unquote, encroach past the armrest are entitled to an extra seat at no additional cost. It says that passengers have the option of purchasing just one seat and then discussing your seating needs with the customer service agent at the departure gate. So everyone's already booked their flights, and now you're coming up and saying, "Oh, I need a second or third seat." You'll be accommodated with the complimentary additional seat.
Because I'm chunky, I get to kick somebody else off the flight.
I just don't see how this is fair.
Hangs over the armrest. No,
I don't think that it's right to shame people. And I understand, again, going back to the size of the seats, it's total BS and they're not big enough for people. But buy an extra seat. Right. And if it's a full flight and there isn't one, that's not on the person that you're kicking off the flight. That's on you.
It's a full flight, but I've purchased that extra seat. Don't try to put someone there because I bought that
that's
seat.
Absolutely true. Yeah. But if you haven't purchased that extra seat, but you are encroaching, you can't just look at the person you can't look at the person next to you and be like, "Sorry, you're gonna have to get off the flight because I need your seat that I didn't pay for."
Rude. And if they make you buy an extra seat, then they know ahead of time, okay, well, maybe we have a larger passenger. But if you just walk up to the ticket desk and say, "Hey, I've got a single ticket for a flight. And by the way, I'm a chunky person and I need that extra seat next to me," then it's like, well, wait a minute, we didn't plan on that, and so now that throws everything else off. Now you should be responsible for that. I mean, if you're a bigger person, then you're gonna have to pay more for clothes because more fabric is needed. You're gonna have to pay an extra, for an extra seat. Said, by the way, not as someone who's thin. So,
we're not talking about, you. We're talking about people. Oh, hold on, I have a picture.
We could be. And I'm saying that I feel like, if because
this woman here, she needs 2 seats. So she needs 2 seats. You know what I mean? Like, and I am not shaming this woman. You know what I mean? Like, again, seats are too damn small. They're too small. There should only be 2 seats in that length of the aisle, right? Like there should be 2 seats. We're trying to keep people comfortable over here, but they're not because the airlines are freaking greedy. But at the same time, I think what you were talking about logistics. Look, if you need the extra seat, that's fine. I'll even say this. I don't mind Southwest giving you the complimentary seat as long as it's told beforehand when you book your flight. Like you can have it complimentary. That policy, because it's very expensive to buy a whole nother seat and the seats aren't big enough, fine. But don't do it at the point of departure. No. Do it when we're planning the flight so I don't buy a ticket and get kicked off.
I don't even agree with the complimentary seat. It's you have to have responsibility for yourself. If you're a bigger person, then it's going to cost you more in life. And that's the way it is. And even if it's a genetic problem or whatever it may be that's causing it, here's the thing. I feel like the whole reason for buying a second seat is to not inconvenience everyone else, right? To not make someone else uncomfortable just because you walk in with a certain set of issues. And it's the same thing with this. If you're given this complimentary seat and it means somebody else gets booted off the flight and has to take the next one, what you're doing is you're affecting other people.
And I think you're also creating an animosity where if you are trying to do this to improve relations between people that, are of different sizes, people are going to be pissed.
Well,
pissed
and imagine
off.
if somebody's walking toward your airport gate and you're thinking, oh, here comes Fatty Boom Balatti, and now I'm going to get my seat's going to be taken, right? I'm just saying that everyone's like, oh no, I wonder if it's my seat that's going.
Right.
No,
well, so Randy asked if you
seat. No.
Yeah, Randy says if you let people reserve a complimentary seat for weight, how do you verify that at the time of making a reservation? Well, I would assume by sight. Right? I mean,
and is it discriminatory? Randy makes a really good point. If what if you wanted it for a different reason? What if you wanted it for a disease buffer?
Right. I mean, so you're just giving away complimentary to this person, but not this person.
Right. Why don't I deserve that? Because I don't want to get COVID, so I'd rather sit next to no one too. I'll take a complimentary seat as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And who are you to say that one person deserves it and one person doesn't?
Liz says some people are just tall and not even big. My husband is 190, 6'2". If we can buy a seat big enough for his legs, he's miserable.
Yeah, he needs to sit in that special business class.
Yeah, the one like the exit.
Leg room.
You need to be the emergency door person.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I would always want that one.
Yeah.
And I don't think Southwest you can, but I know on other flights you could purchase that seat. It's hard. It's really, really hard. And I get it. And it's kind of going back to the whole like shaming of people. And oftentimes being overweight is something that people have no problem being rude to others about. And it sucks, and in some cases we don't know why they are the way they are. I watched this video and it was from several years ago. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to preface this by saying if I was the woman that I'm about to be angry about, I would be thinking these things like, oh, what am I going to do? But at the same time, I think I'd have a different attitude. So this woman, she's an older white woman, right? And she's in between these two large people, a woman and a man. Okay. And she's sitting in between them and she's on the phone talking about them. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like she's so freaking rude. Right. And then somebody across the aisle says there's a seat back there. And she's like, oh, can I do it? I can't sit here. I can't sit here. And then she stands up and she's like, I eat salad. And like, it was so insulting. Although I will say, when you saw her, their arms were literally by her face. I mean, she was in there. But I think I could have, I don't know. I think myself, just because I probably just would have started making jokes. I'm like, oh, let's cuddle in. not going to be cold. Right? Like, let's snuggle. Like, knowing me, I just be like, we're really going to get to know each other on this flight kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, kind of like treat people like people. Like, do you think that they don't know? Like they know that they're encroaching on your seat. You don't need to make a big
embarrassing
scene about
for them. And so what she did there is just humiliated people.
Yes, and she was so rude. She actually ended up getting kicked off the flight because she was so rude. And the woman, one of the larger passengers, was like one of those, frequent flyer. Like I like hoity-toity. Like I fly all the time. Yeah. I'm not dealing with this. You need to move her. This is not acceptable. And the woman ended up getting kicked off. And it was true. It was, but I feel like there was responsibility for both. I think they were probably hoping the flight wasn't full and that no one would want to sit in the middle. Right. I don't know what airline it was, so I don't know if it was assigned seats. But again, I think we can if we could look past people's size and just look at people as people and just be like, you know what? If there is another seat, I'd take it because I think we'll all be more comfortable.
Right.
But if you can't, make do.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I wouldn't like it. I'm not saying that, but I don't feel like we need to be mean to people about it. And I think that's the difference. And it sucks because, people they can't help certain things, they just can't. All right, let's do a few headlines. Tim Sika should be joining us shortly. And then before we go to Tim, though, I will share one more scary thing about that movie that I watched. I'm telling you, I can't let it go. I want to know and when Tim comes.
Well, now you're saying don't watch it, but you're talking about it so much that now I feel like I must.
Don't watch it. I know. It's one of those things where you're going to see it on Netflix. It's like the number one trending movie right now on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't watch it. It's and what's funny is I feel like I want my husband to watch it so then I can be like, see, you shouldn't have watched it. It's terrible. I know that some people in the comments earlier were saying that the ending sucked. Yeah, it did, but it was just the whole thing that just kind of freaked me out. But anyways, Tim Sika is coming up. We'll talk about movies, what to stream, and all sorts of fun things. But first, here's some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Okay, the first story I want to present to you isn't necessarily the lead, but I want your opinion on it, Nikki Medoro.
Okay.
Here's the headline. Researchers find possible cause of morning sickness. What this means for pregnant
It's pregnancy.
No. So remember they used to tell people there's no such thing as morning sickness?
Well, that's because, women are hated on throughout history. Uh-huh.
Well, researchers they found a possible cause of one of the most common and life-interrupting symptoms of pregnancy. That is morning sickness.
Uh-huh.
It's possibly caused by a hormone called GDF15.
Darn effing thing.
The amount of GDF15 that a woman has in her blood before and during pregnancy may affect the severity of morning sickness. Of course, the symptoms of which cause nausea, vomiting and general horribleness. Morning sickness, they say, affects about 70% of pregnant women, is the most common in the first 3 months of pregnancy. Hyperemesis gravidarum, that's the one where you just can't stop barfing the whole way.
Awful.
That's the medical term for the more extreme form of morning sickness. So apparently, now that they've discovered the possible cause of morning sickness, it could lead to a better treatment for pregnant women, because if they know that you have this GDF15, then they can maybe block it so that you're
not. Can they? Or are they just telling me oh yeah, I know why. Thanks, as I vomit into a toilet over and over and over again. Is there any sort of...
Well, they say a potential avenue for treating women with hyperemesis gravidarum, for example, would be to block the effect of GDF15.
Yeah, so. I mean, that's, it is no joke. Who was Amy, the comedian, Amy, I'm blanking on her last name. Schumer, yeah, she had this. Mm-hmm. She had it bad when she was pregnant, and she just could not stop vomiting. I never had morning sickness. I never had any of that. I never threw up.
But it wasn't so bad,
I never had it, but I know women that did. I know people that had preeclampsia. I know people that had to be up, bed rest. Mm-hmm. It's, and then again, it's something that happens solely to women, and yet men try to figure it out, or it's just morning sickness, or it's just a little vomiting. When it's just cramps, it's just this. You have no idea until it's happening to your body, and so again, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, for me it was I barfed twice a day, and then I knew I was going to do it, and then I just moved right on with my business.
Yeah, I don't think I ever threw up once during my pregnancy.
I did once in the KGO in the anchor studio, and I was anchoring with Peter Finch.
No, that's been my fear.
I had to barf in a garbage can, and then I was done, and he's like, "Wow."
Who was there in the room with you?
It was me and Peter Finch. Yeah.
Oh, well, if there was ever a person to be with,
He's
that's
the sweetest
a good
man.
guy to do it with.
Yeah. No,
that's funny.
He came to visit me in the hospital when I was on bed rest in the hospital. He's the sweetest person.
He really is.
I digress, and back to the news we go.
Yes.
It is day 2 of jury deliberations in the Rudy Giuliani defamation trial. The jury will decide how much to award a mother and daughter, Georgia election workers who say they received racist, threatening emails after the 2020 presidential election because of accusations by Giuliani. The 2 election workers want $24 million apiece. We'll see if they get it.
They should get every dollar. I hope that guy goes bankrupt and goes live in a hole somewhere.
He stepped out on the courtroom steps a couple of days ago and doubled down and said, everything I said is true. You've already been found that you're going to be held liable. Now it's just how much are you going to be held liable? Maybe you should.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Exactly.
A defense spending bill will prevent any president from pulling out of NATO without congressional approval. Congress passed the bill this week. President Biden is expected to sign it. Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump has been critical of NATO and has indicated that he might pull the U.S. out if he is elected. Could you imagine?
No, I can't. I can't even imagine just the international consequences of it. But yeah.
For the second time this year, the United States Supreme Court will not block an assault weapons ban that was passed in Illinois. The Federal Appeals Court in Chicago upheld the law last month. The state passed the bill earlier this year in response to a deadly mass shooting at Highlands Park in 2022 at the 4th of July parade there. So again, the U.S. Supreme Court not blocking an assault weapons ban from taking place in Illinois. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a start. And again, it's this Supreme Court. When things like this happen, it gives me just a little glimmer, like a little pinhole.
A little bit of hope there.
I mean, this is what I don't understand. I love people like, oh, but it's a Trump-appointed court and they're all conservatives. Yes, but at some point they are hopefully people that, aren't just insane, but you never know. I mean, we got Clarence Thomas, we got all kinds of asshats, so.
Sutter County's power supplier, Calpine, announcing yesterday that Sutter Decarbonization Project has been selected by the Department of Energy to build a commercial-scale carbon capture and storage project. The technology will store almost 2 million metric tons of carbon every year by retrofitting the Sutter Energy Center. It's an existing natural gas energy facility in Sutter County. Calpine officials say the project brings Sutter County in line with the state goals of transitioning to cleaner energy. They say the technology has a track record of 50 years of safely, securely storing CO2.
Oh, interesting.
That's a little bit interesting, I think. The Los Angeles Chargers have fired their head coach and their general manager.
Wow.
Everybody out. It's a house cleaning. Head coach Brandon Staley let go after the team's blowout 63-21 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders Thursday night.
To the Raiders, people. I mean, I didn't watch the game because it's the freaking Raiders and I could give a shit. But yeah, that's crazy. That is a blood to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Yeah.
The team owner, Dean Spanos, issuing a statement saying that the general manager, Tom Telesco, was also fired. Spanos added that he thanked the two men for their hard work and dedication, and he wished them and their families the very best.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out is basically what they're saying.
As they say, sayonara, sucker. You're out. Done. It's funny. A goner. Okay, so California is apparently growing stronger in the effort to protect people from wildfires. The state is getting 7 C-130 planes to add to our fleet. Okay. Congress approved transferring them from the Coast Guard. The aircraft will be strategically located at CAL FIRE bases to mobilize quickly when needed. Yes, good. They will arrive once President Biden signs the bill into law, and they will be in place to fight flames before the height of next year's fire season. Nice. So that's good. That's what we want to see. That is very good news. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's what we need. And it seems like the quicker they respond with air support, the more they can attack this and get things down.
Absolutely.
Police in Arlington County, Virginia, are investigating after someone in an inflatable gingerbread man costume tried to enter a home earlier this week. Okay, that'd be a little scary. Somebody in a giant inflatable. I mean, anybody coming into your house, but that's that's the
start of a scary movie.
They took something cute, and now all of a sudden you look at it and you see a horror movie, right?
Yes.
The police department says the suspect walked up to the door of the home and tried to open the door without knocking. The suspect walked away after finding the door locked. Another neighbor said they saw the costumed suspect wandering through the neighborhood about an hour earlier. Police say a witness walked up to the man and was told he was trying to find a friend's house. Sounds like he was just walking through the neighborhood, trying door after door after door.
He got lucky. There you go.
Oh, lastly, and this one is for Tim Sika.
Okay.
Wonka, that movie Wonka.
Let's bring him on. Here's Tim Sika to listen to the story. Hi, Tim.
Hi. Yeah, I know. What's it getting? Rave reviews? Is
well,
that what they're
Wonka
saying?
is off to a fast start at the box office.
Oh,
the film
yeah.
has made $3.5 million yesterday from Thursday previews, and it is on track, they say, to make more than $35 million in its first weekend in theaters.
And because it makes so much money, it's got to be great, right?
Oh, I'm sensing a tease here.
Well, no, it's just that they never would, those figures used to be made known in daily variety for people in the industry. Mm-hmm. Now they make them public as if to say it means something. And really all it means is it's making a lot of money. But
right.
Anybody cares about his money these days.
Well, when you hear that, do you think, oh, it's making a lot of money? That means a lot of people must be going to see it. That means it must be really good. So I should go see it too.
Yeah,
right?
That's part of it. That's part of it. But also keep in mind, I think only 10% of people now in this country actually go to the movies. So,
wow.
There's that statistic.
Is it that low?
It's really low, yeah.
Wow.
During the Depression, it was 80%. But then the population was a lot smaller then too. But anyway,
all right.
Yeah.
This report is sponsored by you, crowdfunded here at the Nikki Medoro Show. Find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com and see the Patreon and PayPal links there for your pleasure. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Yes, indeed. All right, Tim Sika's here. We're going to get his take on Wonka really quickly, but first, Tim.
Yes.
Really quickly, because I know we have movies to get to.
Yeah, but I also want to say I'm sipping coffee right now from my Nikki Medoro mug.
Oh, I love you.
Yeah, you guys have good merch on your site.
Thank you. Everybody check it out. Everybody check it out at thenikkimedoroshop.com.
Yes, there you go. Yep.
Have you seen the movie on Netflix called Leave the World Behind?
No, you know what? I wanted to.
Don't watch it. It's gonna freak you out.
Is it good? I wanted to get that in for this week, but it's one of the movies that I just didn't have time to make. Yeah, but I hear it's.
I watched it last
scary.
night. It's what happens to society. It's very frightening. Now, I'm just going to say this. Mark Zuckerberg apparently is building this gigantic underground bunker in Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
And then when I read that article yesterday while watching this
movie. In the movie or in real life?
In real life, Mark Zuckerberg is building an huge underground bunker. And it makes me be like, what the hell does he know that I don't know?
Well,
right?
he knows what's coming. He knows all the billionaires, all the oligarchs are going to be doing this because they think their money is going to save them and make them live forever and whatever. We all die eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why would they build an underground bunker in Hawaii? Did they not hear the sea levels are going to rise? You don't want to be underground on an island.
Thank you. I don't know if I would want to live underground if the world went to hell in a handbasket, right?
Well, I guess if you were outfitted with the best, I guess you could make do. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Everybody check it out if you want to. I'm just telling you, it's going to freak you the heck out. It's called Let's Leave the World Behind. If you go on Netflix, it's the #1 trending movie right now. Yeah. And so I wanted to see if you saw it because I've been freaked out since I watched it last night, which is not a good thing to do. Don't watch it right before bed. It's not a good one.
I saw the runtime too. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so
but it moves. It moves.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start.
Trailer and the words are, "We all knew this day was coming."
Yeah, just don't.
Yes, I know. Just don't. Yeah, right.
Okay.
I know.
So what did you think of Wonka?
Wonka. What did I think of Wonka? Well, I like that it was a musical.
It is?
The song. It's a musical. Well, the songs are okay. You know what?
Is everything is everything singing or is there talking?
Oh, there's lots of talking.
Okay. That's
I watch this with an open mind because I tend to be hard on film musicals in general. I'm hard on sequels, or in the case of Wonka, prequels. and I'm also hard on Timothée Chalamet because I think he's kind of spotty as an actor, but the world seems to be head over heels in love with him as a performer. Anyway, as a musical, it's okay. Yeah. Okay, obviously not you two.
He's all right. I'm not a huge fan of him. I can take him or leave him.
Yeah, well, he's young. I mean, he's developing. He's got a lot of talent. Anyway, as a musical, it's okay. As a prequel, in theory, fine. But it's the script. The script is mediocre. It seems like an hour of the movie in the middle could easily be cut and you really wouldn't lose anything. And Chalamet, sorry to say, I mean, he's earnest. He slums his way through this part. I don't even think he knows what he's playing. His singing is obviously auto-tuned, because I've seen him sing on television, like on SNL and stuff, and he can't find the pitch. So obviously they auto-tuned him, and his dancing is like it's like nothing more than swinging around and jumping and hopping. And his performance comes across like an okay one, but only okay if you were a lead in a high school play. I don't, there's something potentially charming here, and I suppose just going with the silly thing, not bringing any baggage to it, you'd find it entertaining. If you're an undiscerning Chalamet fan, there's that. I think kids unaccustomed to only having seen a few movies will find it colorful, maybe fanciful, but instead of like sweet and chocolatey, I found it slapdash and cheesy. I don't know. I wanted to like it. I always want to like.
I have zero desire to watch it. I don't need another Wonka in my life. I like the original, original. And I don't even like the Johnny Depp ones.
No,
I like the original
one.
Yeah, no, the Gene Wilder one is the best one. And how do you even follow Gene Wilder playing this part, right? And this is a prequel, but there's like no indication in the way Chalamet's playing this character that he'll eventually be like the Gene Wilder, mysterious and weird, and none of that. So,
okay, good. I have zero desire to watch it anyway. Now let's go from Wonka to something heavy, which is The Zone of Interest.
Yeah, it's a Holocaust drama. It's directed by Jonathan Glazer. It's based on the book by Martin Amis, and I think it's fair to say it's the most unusual and original Holocaust movie, certainly that I've ever seen. And I've pretty much seen all of them. This one's about Auschwitz Commandant Rudolf Haas and his wife and family, who live in this idyllic pastoral home literally next door, except there's a wall that separates Auschwitz camp from their home. They live literally next door to the Auschwitz concentration camp, but are shut off from what's really going on there. Hello. And it's about this Nazi family living in this beautiful home while Jewish souls over the wall are perishing. That's the premise. But you know what? Just that juxtaposition, when I heard about that made me really want to see this and read the book. And I said unusual and original because nothing is really shown of the Auschwitz horrors. But instead, we hear things like dogs barking and shots being fired and screams. And we occasionally see flames from the ovens where bodies are being cremated. And all the while, this Nazi commandant and his family are living an Eden-like existence on the other side. So for my money, this is the best movie of the year. But I say this cautioning people who are maybe thinking of seeing this movie to not go in expecting to see what some people like myself and the LA Film Critics Association consider to be the best movie of the year. Because of the way it's made. And I'll explain that. Just go into the theater, you take it in, let it wash over you, expect nothing. And I say that because in a way, a new cinematic style is being forged here with this movie, and it's imposed over the telling of the Holocaust. It's unlike any movie you've ever seen stylistically, for sure, and it almost demands going in with new eyes and ears. This movie reminds me of something Steven Spielberg once said about Stanley Kubrick movies. He said that the way Kubrick will oftentimes tell a story is very antithetical to the ways in which we as audience and moviegoers are accustomed to receiving stories. That's this movie, but it still shocks and horrifies you underneath and inside yourself, because what you're imagining as opposed to what you are seeing with your eyes, it's kind of more horrific and nightmarish than anything you can possibly witness, if that makes any sense. And we're given these visual clues, like simple and mundane ones, like the putting on of a fur coat, for example, by the wife of the Nazi commandant in her home. She's modeling it, trying to see like how she looks in it. Well, you just know that just came from a wealthy Jewish woman who's probably already been incinerated. Anyway, that's The Zone of Interest. I think it's a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, and it's arguably the best film of 2023. Wow. It's going right to the top of my list.
And this is in theaters, right?
Yes, only in theaters. Yeah,
okay.
Right
All
now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do something completely different.
Yes. So welcome change. Yes.
Let's do Chicken Run. This is what
Run.
The Dawn of the Nugget. Dawn of the Nugget.
Yeah, it's an Aardman stop motion and animated movie. Wallace and Gromit. Do you guys know Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah,
they're Aardman creations, and this is an Aardman movie. I love Aardman characters because just looking at them makes me laugh. They all look like they just got their hands stuck into an electrical socket and they're being like electrocuted or something. Anyway, it's just funny looking at them. Anyway, yeah, Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. It's a sequel to 2000's Chicken Run, and it's nearly a quarter of a century later. It's a sequel, and let's just say in Chicken Run, the chickens, they broke out of a chicken farm where they were going to be some human's dinner, and in Dawn of the Nugget, the same chickens break into a chicken farm for reasons which will be left unexplained because I don't want to do any spoilers.
Right.
Whereas The Zone of Interest is the best film of 2023. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget, for my money, is the best animated film of 2023. It's so funny and so witty and so charming. It's cleverly plotted. It's intelligent too, in a similar way that the Muppets, the original Muppets, when Jim Henson was alive, were intelligent. But there's like an Anglo twist because everybody either speaks with a British accent or an Australian accent. So anyway, the characters are colorful. The animation is gorgeous. And there's a message underneath here too about, too much pleasure can maybe not be the best thing for any living creature. It also takes a poke at fast food, this movie. It's staunchly vegetarian.
I can imagine.
It makes you think about the vegetarian option for maybe helping to save the planet. But I just love this movie. I highly recommend it. It drops on Netflix today.
Oh, cool.
And it's just a great, fun,
maybe I'll watch that with the
smart
kids today.
Watch. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
right.
do it.
Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. Well, it has my dog's name in it too, so there you go.
Best animated movie of 2023.
All right, let's talk about Maestro. This was Bradley Cooper who was wearing the prosthetic and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You guys have heard of this one,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's a hard one to talk about because I think it's an example of good intention, but like dashed hopes. It's Bradley Cooper's opus on musician and conductor Leonard Bernstein. He co-wrote it, he produced it, he stars in it, and he directs it. And I want to avoid being cavalier here about the movie because of the obvious effort and the quality and the thought that went behind it. It almost seems unfair to criticize it because of that. But unfortunately, it's our job as film critics to do just that when we see it in abundance in a movie like Maestro. It's a missed opportunity, I think, for several reasons. But basically, I think it tries to please everybody, but it comes up, in my opinion, pleasing nobody. And in my opinion, its focus was misplaced. It's more about the relationship between Bernstein and his wife, Felicia Montalegre, who was an actress. There's a story there, but we really don't know a whole lot about that story, about their marriage, other than what's in the biographies, except that Bernstein was gay and he married this woman who knew he was gay. He had children with her and lots of affairs with men on the side. And why Cooper chose to focus on that, a subject that we really historically only have a sketchy knowledge of, it made no sense to me. This movie is more about Lenny and Felicia than it is about Maestro. In fact, it should have been called Lenny and Felicia and not Maestro because we hardly get a sense of what it was that made Leonard Bernstein such a great musician. His artistry is barely touched on. It's just mentioned. And we get to see it occasionally, but okay, let's get back to this weird relationship. And I can go on and on about my objections, but as a biopic, we don't have an hour. Let's just say fundamentally the way this movie was scripted, shot, and played, this is the other thing. It's uncommercial. It's artsy. There's good things in it. The first half hour is remarkably accurate historically, but it's minutia that would only appeal to classical musician geeks like me. Nobody else would even have a clue as to who these people were that Bernstein was involved with. The acting's spotty. I think Cooper should get some kind of acting award for attempt with a capital A, but because he's playing a recognizable historic figure, he and I don't know how you'd get around this, you guys, but he mimics Bernstein's gestures and his voice, but he never gets past that as a believable character, and some of his mannerisms come across as ludicrous. Anyway, the best sequences are the musical ones, but they're lacking context. What ticks me off the most about Maestro is that this movie was made for people like me, and I think it missed the boat completely. I can sum it up pretty much by saying it ain't bad, but it ain't good either.
It ain't good either.
No,
Okay, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I'll be honest. I wasn't going to possibly watch this. A lot of people are mentioning the interviews that Bradley Cooper has been giving, and it was kind of, maybe I'll go see it. But now with your review, maybe I'll just wait till it's streaming.
Yeah, well, never, ever take as gospel what I say.
Well,
about
I love your reviews, though.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, we have one more movie, and this has been getting a lot of attention because Jeremy Allen, who's the bear, in the
right.
Bear,
Yes.
Zac Efron is in this, and yes, Zac Efron's face has changed because he broke his jaw. Blah blah blah. The Iron Claw. It's a wrestling movie.
Yeah.
Is it any good? Because I cannot get away from any of the trailers on my social media feeds or anything.
Well, let me tell you, same here. And I kind of I was gritting my teeth when I sat down to watch this. But it's a good movie. It's a drama. It's a drama. It stars Zac Efron. It's a sports drama and a biographical drama about the Von Erlich family wrestlers. They were professional wrestlers, and Zac Efron plays the eldest son, one of four brothers who wrestle for the NWA and the what is it, the WCCW wrestling organizations. I knew nothing about this family story or their legacy, but this is their story, probably a bit dramatically finessed, but the hardcore facts of their lives are that remain, and it's a powerful, absorbing drama that depicts the brutality of the sport, even though pro wrestling is staged and its outcomes are prearranged. It's about this family headed by this very driven, very selfish and abusive father who wants for his sons what he himself could never achieve, which is like a world wrestling champion title. And he also believes the family is cursed, but I don't want to go there. It's directed by Sean Durkin, whose most famous movie is Martha, Marcy, May Marlene, that cult movie that starred Elizabeth Olsen. Anyway, it was a big Sundance hit in 2011. Good movie. And it's classically structured, this movie. It's very powerful and it's very moving. And this ensemble is superb. Zac Efron is great. I mean, every time I see another movie with Zac Efron, he gets better and better as an actor with a capital A. All the supporting performances are knockouts, and it's about toxic masculinity and its effects, not so much on the women in the story, but on the men, although the women are affected. But this is predominantly a story about brothers. And it's about, I found it to be about the unexamined selfishness of a parent and wanting to live their life through their children. It's terrific, and it's sad, and it's tragic, and it's going to make you cry, Nikki.
Well, I'm really interested in to watch it because I love all the actors in it.
And it's a beautiful story. It's about familial and brotherly love and loyalty, and it delivers in spades. I was surprised that I forgot I was watching a movie. I mean, I'm maybe I'm overpraising it, but I maybe because I went in there expecting oh God, I don't want to see this brutal movie. And it was brutal in a different way, but it was also very beautiful too. The ending wiped me out. It just wiped me out. Yeah.
Well, here's the picture I'm showing up there. The left picture is them in real life.
Oh yeah, right.
The right is the actors. And I mean, everyone, it seems like they're very much trying to not only look but act like them and get that story out. So I'm glad that you really, really liked it. So
yeah. I afterwards I did some research on the family, and it according to what happens in the movie, it's very, very accurate. I think they left out one of the brothers for maybe they thought dramatically it was too repetitive to have, because there were four brothers. And
it sucks to be the brother that's left out, but okay.
Well, he's no longer with us, so I think that may have been. But I don't want to say anymore, because what happens in this movie was a constant surprise. But yet you could kind of see it happen.
Wow.
because the father was awful, and yet he loved his family and he loved his wife. I also wanted to shake his wife too. Sometimes she was just sort of well, there's nothing I can do. I'm just a wife. But it's a terrific drama, really. I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, the Iron Claw, that gets a thumb up from Tim Sika. So let's go over the list. So Wonka, Zone of Interest, yes.
Yes.
Possibly, according to Tim. Movie of the year. Chicken Run, which is about, the sequel to Chicken Run.
Yeah, funny.
That's on
movie.
Netflix, and that's a thumbs up. Maestro, no, you didn't like it. But the Iron Claw you liked. So
yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Tim Sika. So this is my last live show. We'll still figure out next Friday.
Okay, well, let me know if you still want me to do something.
I will let you know. Right. If I don't see you, though, have a happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you, Nikki. And I look forward to talking to you in the new year.
Absolutely. Tim
Sika.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, I'm excited about some of his reviews.
Yeah.
If any of you see that Netflix movie, email me, tell me what you thought, and we'll share it on Monday, because
I might have to watch it. You're telling me not to, but that just makes me want to watch it more.
And I'll tell you, the ending was but I think the whole movie leading up to it was just, there is a car scene that just was like, oh my God. So yeah, there's just so many instances. And I think also because we live here in the Bay Area, where technology is so ingrained in everything that we do, from doing this show to picking up my phone to knowing where I'm going, all those sorts of things, to watching movies online and streaming them. I'm telling you, everything was
so is it like more of a physical thriller or a psychological thriller?
It's a psychological. I mean, there's not really any real violence in it. It's not gory. Again, lots of big names: Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon, Mahershala Ali, all of them. Ethan Hawke. It's good in that aspect, but it's frightening. And yeah, if you don't like the ending, you probably think the movie sucked. But I could look past that and just be frightened by the whole entire thing. All right, let's give some thank yous. Lady Beatrice came in with a $10 donation. Actually, 2 of them. Thank you. Ms. Organic also with a $5 donation. Wes came in. My schedule doesn't always let me tune in at this time anymore. No work today. Yay, you.
Woo-hoo!
And of course, Doug came in also with a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much to people that have been donating to our Patreon. If you want to, just go to NikkiMedoroShow.com. Our links are there. Thank you to everyone that donates through PayPal. The email for PayPal, NikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. So if you could support us that way. And again, email me as well. End of the year videos, holiday messages, and I will share them on Thursday as well. So please send them to me as soon as possible. All right. Stay right here. Kim McAllister doing the Mark Thompson Show and the After Party Live with John Daly. Yep. I will be back on Monday. Have a fabulous weekend. Go Niners. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.